That's when I first became interested in food and nutrition. My mother, Ana Maria, she used to have this woman, Lord come over and help organize these soirees, these fiestas, come up with the menus. Always the same. Pork. Arroz. Frijoles negros. Then, on whatever the night, it was like the same plate, the same top, and of course, most of the same people. Very, very boring. You do know that many Cuban families keep a live pig on the top of their roofs. De veras. Well, we had to do a mini meeting like this. So, now you want me to discuss my books today. My infamous book, Cocina al Minuto. Well, I've never received a damn dime for that damn book. Sometimes I regret having ever even written those books. It has only served to help the people who left Cuba. This is one of my true misgivings. People have stolen my works. Fortunately, I don't have to steal them. I don't like them. Oh, with a few exceptions. Here and there. Because for the most part, I find that they are miscute, stingy. The petite bourgeoisie in Miami, they have my books and follow my recipes. I resent that. I hate them. Do you know that in Miami, they have translated my book into English and called it the Cuban flavor without even crediting me? It duplicates nearly all my recipes, word by word, same content, same numbers of servings, word for word, measurements, ingredients by ingredient, right down to the one nita. Except no nita named nowhere. I wouldn't change my nationality for any place on earth. I am so proud to be Cuban. If you've read your program, you will read that this play that I have been developing actually is based off of a actual interview that Tom Miller wrote, and it was in his book, Trading with the Enemy, A Yankee Travels Through Castro's Cuba. Tom Miller is a noted writer of literature on the Southwest and Latin America, and he's affiliated with the University of Arizona Latin American Area Center. He was also most recently, awarded the Arizona Commissioner's the Arts 2013 Research and Development Grant. He lives in Tucson with his wife, Regla, and I'm so pleased that they drove up all the way from Tucson today, and they're both here with us tonight. They are sitting right here. Traveling to Cuba. We also have his books for sale back where the exhibition is, and also right by the cash register in the gift shop. So, Tom, no. Yeah, sit down. Otherwise, that's it.
begin by turning in our prayer books to page 5, which is Trading with the Enemy. I went to Cuba because I was curious, because no one agrees on its strengths, because I've read so much about it, because it is forbidden, because it's heartbreakingly lovely, because so many people have championed it while so many others have abandoned it, because Cubans make great music and aromatic cigars, because they've thumbed their noses at their former patron for more than 5 decades, because I've grown weary of writing about Latin American democracies where forlorn, illiterate campesinas sit on city street corners, selling combs, nail clippers, and undervalued handicrafts, while their malnourished, barefoot youngsters turn their palms up and say, "Gimme," instead of learning how to hold a pencil or read a sentence. Because of its rich literary tradition, because my favorite players on the Washington Senators in the 1950s were Cuban. Because I'm an incurable romantic. Because we still have a Navy base there. Because Cuban women are astute and alluring. Because in the last 500 years of travel writing, few cities in the world have been so effusively praised as Havana. Because Teddy Roosevelt led the charge of San Juan Hill. Because I liked Our Man in Havana and The Old Man in the Sea. Because I got a kick out of Desi Arnaz. Because I was distrustful of Cuba's bashers and its cheerleaders. Because I liked the twinkle in Fidel's eye. Because I've never been to a communist country. Because I wanted to learn Zumba. Because Columbus landed there. Because it has hundreds of miles of unspoiled beaches. Because of its mystique. So I did go to Cuba, starting in 1987 and pretty much every year since then. And I lived there for 8 months in 90 and 91 to write a book about the country, but I didn't want to write about the politics. I didn't want to write about Marxist healthcare or sugarcane quotas. I wanted to write about people in a country where people get up in the morning, go to school, go to work, come home, make dinner, make love, go dancing. Now, I'm going to be very brief up here, but to understand contemporary Cuba and get a feel for its history, especially its intractable relationship with the U.S., before you go to Cuba, you have to give yourself a history lesson beyond the USS Maine. You have to find out how the U.S. happened to possess that wonderful swath of land on Cuba's southeast coast along Guantanamo Bay. It goes back to baseball in the 1860s and bullfighting. Baseball was seen as a progressive and enlightened and came from the young country to the north, while bullfighting was violent and elitist and came from the imperial power in Europe. And so for a few years, Spain actually banned baseball in Cuba. There are so many ways to look at the history of the two countries, and I look at it more culturally than politically. Obviously, the most important part is the embargo. Make no mistake about it, the embargo was set in place to sabotage the Cuban economy so it would destroy and so a new government could be put in place. The embargo has been in place for 51, 52 years now. We certainly remember the Bay of Pigs. There's a long, drawn-out non-communication between the countries. Then President Jimmy Carter comes along and he starts bilateral relations. There were commercial flights to and from Cuba. There was trade. You could go on vacation there. All of this got thwarted by the Mariel boatlet, which tens of thousands of Cubans abandoned their own country. We're talking about 1980. For a shot at life in the United States. There was really nothing significant about U.S.-Cuba relations in the George H.W. Bush years. Then Clinton relaxed the travel restrictions and people were, I wouldn't say free to go, but it was much easier to go legally. In general, it is, I say this as somebody who leads an annual literary Havana trip legally. It is much easier to go and much cheaper to go illegally than legally. Nonetheless, people such as myself lead these trips. The cultural reasons that people in this country have softened their attitude towards Cuba. You are all familiar with the Buena Vista Social Club, the documentary, the group itself, the recordings. In fact, the group itself will be in the Mesa Center for Performing Arts, is that right? Not this weekend, but next weekend. There's nothing like getting these old musicians up